if you can center yourself, it's been a long day if you're in Australia, if you've just woken up in the States, and anything in between. Try to let your day go, or try to let go of thinking of what you're going to be doing today. And just relax. And if you'd like to close your eyes, you're welcome to do that. And if you would like, also, if you'd like to mute yourself, I know that would be a good thing too. So I'm going to repeat this intention 3 times. The first time you can listen to me. The second time, if you've muted, you can say it out loud with me. And the third time, I would invite you to bring it into your heart. So the hearts of the hosts and participants are prepared for World Labyrinth Day, and all labyrinths are connected for the highest good of our world. And as we envision all the labyrinths around the world and all the energy that they give to us, if they're on the land, if they're on canvas, if they're made of bricks, no matter what the material, no matter what the design, we appreciate all that they give to us. So our intention is that the hearts of the hosts and participants are prepared for World Labyrinth Day, and all labyrinths are connected for the highest good of our world. And for this third and final time, as we bring this intention into our hearts, as we listen to this presentation today, may the hearts of the hosts and participants are prepared for World Labyrinth Day, and all labyrinths are connected for the highest good of our world. May it be so. So again, if you're new, thank you for being here. If you've just logged on, we're happy that you're here. And I'm going to pass this off to Teresa, who's going to start. I hope everybody has pen and paper. I think that was our direction. And I know I'm excited to hear everything that you guys have to say. So Teresa, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ellen. Welcome, everyone. I am Therese Welsh, and I'm a member of the Labyrinths in Educational Settings Working Group within the Australian Labyrinth Network. We're part of a team who have developed and collated the resources for World Labyrinth Day in Educational Settings for 2025. I acknowledge the traditional custodians, ancestors, and wisdom keepers of the lands that we are all joining from today. I'm on Wangal country, Wentworth Point, New South Wales, Australia. And I acknowledge their deep connection to land, waters, and to community. Together with Louise Mason and Ange Vergona, we will share the resources for creating peaceful paths, an action-based collection of resources to connect, create, and calm. I begin by presenting a brief introduction to our World Labyrinth Day in Educational Settings resource page. This overview, which I'll get Louise to share now, please. We just scroll right to the top. Great. So this resource page brings up many resources available for creating Peaceful Paths 2025 for World Labyrinth Day in Educational Settings. These resources can be adapted for any age or situation. As you can see, at the top of the page is everything you need for World Labyrinth Day in Educational Settings 2025, and an opportunity for you to register your event right there in the centre. We also give you a checklist on how to prepare and plan your event. Now, these resources can be downloaded or printed to support your participation this year. However, the page holds so much more. I recommend at this point that you bookmark this page on your browser, and Louise will demonstrate how to do that.
So that's
in
the little
case you don't know.
Yeah. Click on the little blue square, star.
Yep.
Star. It's been a long day.
Yep. And just click done.
And then you have options to save it wherever you like to save and bookmark.
And the reason we do this is because it's a quick reference for a resource that can be used all year round. And you can also then have time to look around at what else is offering. There's documentation here dating back over past several years, plus references, additional teacher resources, including research documents for professional reading. Now, right down at the bottom of the page, you'll notice how to draw the 7-circuit classical labyrinth. And we're going to use the simplified version of this 7-circuit seed pattern shortly. And you can see the resources just keep stacking on top of each other. So over the years, the accumulative nature of these resources have been spiraling out year by year. Each year, we focus on walking as one for peace, the heart-brain connection, using the labyrinth to calm the mind, engage our intuition, and to ignite the imagination. Each year, our team review the resources and expand and develop along a similar theme, ever conscious of making this website user-friendly and practical for busy educators. We are always open for feedback via the webpage or via Facebook. Thank you, Louise. So we'll just stop that share now. And it is activity time. So, conscious of the variety of experience that everyone brings to this workshop today, I will be presenting how to draw a 3-circuit classical labyrinth. It's important to know that the act of drawing and tracing your own labyrinth can be as meditative as walking by foot or tracing by hand. You can demonstrate the drawing of the labyrinth using your electronic whiteboard, as I will demonstrate now. I'm going to choose a thicker font here, especially to accentuate the dots. So this is a demonstration, so just relax and observe, and then we'll have a chance to do this ourselves. So you can demonstrate the drawing of the labyrinth using your electronic whiteboard, as I will demonstrate now. As I said, I've chosen a thicker font. So that I can accentuate the dots. So imagine your page is landscape sideways in front of you. So you've just watched that I drew a short line about 1/3 of the way down the page. And then I stopped short of the bottom of the page. Then I drew an equal-sized cross arm and the 4 dots to resemble the incomplete square. This is what we call the seed of the classical labyrinth. It's all you need to remember to draw your own labyrinth. Now, to form the lines of the labyrinth, or the circuits, I will join the dots. Just select a different color. So I'll join the dots and the lines in red as I'll show you. Now, I like to draw from left to right, but that is purely optional. You can draw from the center to the left if you prefer. So again, I will go left to right, left to right, and left to right. Once you've joined each circuit, you now have a complete 3-circuit labyrinth, 3 individual paths. Watch as I trace to the center and out again. Once I arrive in the center, I will pause and breathe before returning out by the same path. Return journey. This is not an exact science, a bit like life. Pause before exiting. So shortly you will have the opportunity to draw your own labyrinth and engage in a self-awareness activity. So we asked you to bring pencil and paper. So I'd like you to get that ready now, and please orient your paper to landscape and estimate where the bottom third of your page is. So we're just going to hold it sideways. Oh, and the 5-pointed star is because I held my cursor on the page for too long and it just turned into that. So let me just tell you that that wasn't meant to happen. But these things happen when you do things live, don't they? So here we go again. My path disappeared. I paused too long at the exit and that's it. So I'm just flicking over. I'm going to move this across now. Just move that out of the way. So now it's your turn. We're going to have a go. Now, remember, some people, this is going to be the first time they've ever done it. Some of you have done this many times, and that's okay. Okay. So on your paper, I can see there's lots of people on my screen moving around my screen. I didn't know that would happen. All right. So I'm going to go back to the black pen. Okay, and I'm going to start, and if you could do this on your paper, we're going to start with a vertical line about the bottom third of the page, and then a horizontal line about the same size. And then we're going to place our 4 dots to resemble an incomplete square. Now, if you have other colours, you might like to choose other colours. I'll go again with red, joining from the line to the dot, dot to the line to the dot, and the dot to the line. So for some of you, you will have just drawn your first labyrinth. At this point, we're going to do a self-awareness activity. And I'd like you to think of a symbol. I'm choosing a star, so I can go to my shapes here and I'm choosing a star. I'm going to put this star at the entrance as I prepare you for the next part of the activity. Oops. So imagine this labyrinth path that you just saw me trace in and out. I'd like you to think of the labyrinth path for this activity as a continuum. So if you imagine me being this star and I'm moving through the labyrinth, I'd like you to think so far about your own personal labyrinth journey. Consider your personal knowledge or your confidence and your awareness of labyrinths. And I want you to think about where on the labyrinth you would place yourself. Imagine being at the start, I don't know very much yet. Being at the center, I'm an expert and no one can tell me anything. So just have a think about this. This is a personal reflection. I'd like you to be honest. We won't be sharing this with anyone, but we will return to this activity at the end of our workshop. So let's just place ourselves where we think we might be. And I'm going to park myself about here. So just draw yourself, whatever your symbol might be, draw that on your labyrinth and we'll return to it later. So regardless of the experience of demonstrating a labyrinth to a group, regardless of anybody's experience, when someone watches you draw the labyrinth, they're walking the labyrinth with their eyes. So it's an all-inclusive exercise where all participants can walk. For the vision impaired, you would offer a cutout or a raised template. Imagine the power of sharing this with a whole class or sharing this online. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to hand over to Louise Mason, one of our co-hosts, to share the teacher's guide with you now.
Thanks, Therese. Yes, I'm going to walk you through probably the what we would say would be the main element of our set of resources, and that's the teacher's guide, which is called Creating Peaceful Paths. If you can cast your mind back to the image that Therese shared at the start of the workshop, she had the ALN Labyrinths and Educational Settings page on screen, and on the right-hand column was the listing for all of the 2025 resources. And then as you go down and scroll down further and further, you'll see the years prior to that. So this document that I have on screen now is the 2025 Teacher Guide, Creating Peaceful Paths. Having said teacher guide, that's not to say that the material within it can be used by everybody, and that's the case. Now I'm going to show the contents page. This is what we're offering in 31 pages of the booklet. So while this is just a summary of the subheads in the guide, the expansion takes 31 or 30 pages, or even 29 maybe, if you take out the cover page. So there's a lot of material, and we can't possibly cover it all tonight, or today. We're going to focus on some aspects of this document, and those are the precursor to starting anything to do with personal handheld labyrinths and making them, and that is to start with the group walk. So we're going to focus on that, and then we'll move on to making handheld labyrinths themselves. Ange is going to demonstrate a couple of techniques that he's used a lot and is very familiar with, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy those. And then we're going to talk about and share imaginary labyrinths. So we'll leave you to ponder what that might be. So moving on to the group walk. Our focus in 2025 is creating peaceful paths. So let's just hold that thought for a moment. Creating peaceful paths. Paths that can take us to a place of peace. Placing labyrinths paths at the fingertips of every student. And let's face it, aren't we all students of life? Our team, that's Ange, Therese and myself, has seen firsthand the benefits of this in practice, of using handheld labyrinths. And the use of these and encouraging them as a regular practice is something that we are extremely convinced about. So now, visualize this. You're sitting with a class of students, or maybe a group of friends or family, or with a community group. You're sitting with a group. You could be face-to-face in situ, or you could be online on a platform, something like this. Doesn't matter. And you're going to introduce them to handheld labyrinths because you believe in this and you're invested in or have heard about the benefits of it. So we're suggesting that rather than launching straight into the process of making handheld labyrinths and like this is what we're going to do, step-by-step kind of approach, we're saying start instead with a whole group experience. Provide each in your group with a handheld labyrinth, or assemble around a walking labyrinth if you have one on the spot or nearby, and invite them into a group walking experience. Now, on page 24 of this guide, I won't scroll down, but rest assured, there are a lot of labyrinth designs and patterns that you can copy onto paper and then download and reproduce. So when you're organising a shared experience like this, set the scene and prepare the space. Create the space. Think about where people will be. Will they be sitting in circle? Will they be standing in circle? Bring them into mindful awareness. Adjust lighting if that's possible. This all depends where you are. You might like to use some soft music, possibly candles, but you wouldn't if you're in where I live because we're just fire band conscious. Soft and then employ soft voice. So what I'm really saying here is, you know your context, you know your people, choose what you feel would work for them, but try in some way to make the space something special, maybe even using some flora, whatever your space suggests. And then focus on breath. Ellen already took us through a sequence of this earlier when we started, and you will find in our resources a lot of material relating to breathing and calming, coming to a calming space, connecting breath with heart. In this resource, you'll find it, and you'll find it in previous years' resources as well. In fact, 2 years ago, we focused heavily on breathing awareness. So that would be 2023. That's right, isn't it, Therese, Ange? Yeah, 2023?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. And last year too, but the main focus was in 2023. So lots and lots of material there to work with. And we've given an example for ways that breathing can take place in this resource anyway, but you can refer to all of those others. So then once everybody is in the moment, calmed and breathing comfortably and calmly, start tracing or walking the path as per the steps here that are set out. And then when everybody has completed their walk, allow them time to sit quietly with the experience. That's really important, to be with their thoughts and feelings and the things that are maybe arising for them, to reflect. And at this point, some people might like to share that, but not everybody does. So that's not a requirement or a condition. So a whole group walking experience will certainly create a segue into the opportunity for them to make their own personalised labyrinth for use in times of need and as a daily practice. Now, the idea of the personalised labyrinth is that so that each student has something that they can go to, something that they keep in a special place, and something that they can go to when they need. It could be a communal time when everybody does that, but also impromptu times. And Ange will focus on that a little bit more. So the guide moves on into a section, making personal handheld labyrinths. Now that's pages long as well, so I'm not going to go right through it, but I just want to say that there are lots and lots of ideas, creative ideas, that can be used for making personal labyrinths. And I would just highlight this wonderful book. I don't know whether you know it, but this is the cover of Leah Good Harris's Ladybug Labyrinth book. She's also written a workbook which is just delightful. So those can be, oh no, the workbook we actually have, she's made that available. It's on our website. In the list right-hand column, you can download that for free. She's made that available. And the other resource that I want to mention is Natalie Erdman Burton's beautiful reading of her book. She put this on the TLS Global Group Facebook page. I saw lots and lots of posts of it, and it's just delightful. We even have suggested that what she's showing in her illustration can be used as a way of making a personal labyrinth. So you can utilize any kinds of materials to do that. So exciting. So now I think it's time to let Ange have some airspace. Ange is a member of our team, our little team of 3, and we just have the best time coming up with all this stuff, don't we? I'll stop sharing now, and I'll be at your beck and call, Ange, whatever you need and when you need it.
Thank you, Louise. My opportunity today is to present 2 possibilities for using, creating a labyrinth as a pathway to restore and to cultivate an opportunity for inner peace. And I think in particular, the focus is the peace that restores that sense of balance when you're faced with challenges. The 2 examples that I'm going to present today are actually come from primary school students, but they can be readily applied to older students. I had the opportunity just yesterday to introduce this to 17 and 18-year-olds, so I know how well they work. The examples I'm going to present to you are also so readily applicable for adults to use. One in particular, adults have seen as a great sense of fun. Nothing like fun is best for us. The other has been accepted as a constant, almost readiness tool. So you don't need anything other than that imagination. I've used them both personally, and honestly, the use of that, what I'm calling the imaginary labyrinth, just works wonders to restore that adult peace in crazy situations. Definitely, when you're waiting in a medical office, it does wonders to create that sense of calm. So the first example, and we've called the lollipop labyrinth. And I just want to begin by explaining the context that we used it. I was
Did
teaching.
you want me to put that up, Anne?
Actually, we might put it up now, a bit earlier than I thought, but it doesn't matter. That'd be great.
All right.
There we go. So it looks like a lollipop, but I want you to focus on the red side, please. So I was teaching.
I'll just enlarge it.
Thank you. Thank you. I was teaching a year 1-2 class, so students between the ages of 7 to 9 would be the eldest. So after recess, the school practice has that the children come in and they have a 5-minute reset or mindfulness activity before beginning their next learning session. But on this particular day, of course, the last child to enter the classroom just stomped in, and you could just see by that look on his face, he was just furious. I set the class for an independent reset mindful activity, and I invited Xavier, the stomper romper, just bolted in to come and join me. And I told him what I had noticed, and I asked him how he was feeling. He just blurted out, "Angry! It's still not fair. I want to get him." Now, just to help you out, the situation had been dealt with the staff on the playground, but obviously not to his understanding and expectation. So I invited him, then the students knew as soon as I said, let's draw a lollipop labyrinth, that had prior knowledge and experience. So I simply asked him, tell me, if you could give this feeling a color, what would it be? And, grumpy Xavier, red. So I said, okay, then, if you could give it a shape, what would this feeling look like? It's big and spiky and prickly. So I said, okay, let's draw the lollipop for that. So there's his red and his prickly shape. So you always leave an opening for the shape and draw what we call the lollipop. And then he automatically knew, if we can go down to the next slide, you simply trace it starting from the one side of the lollipop and mirror it all the way around, leaving an opening. Thank you, Louise. And then for the next circuit, you start on the lollipop, just further down from it, and you trace it again. And then he just repeated the process.
Oh, I might have to reduce that a bit.
Just a shade.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Right.
Yeah.
Do we have one more, Louise, or is that it?
What's that?
I think, have we got one more image? No, that's it. Thank
No,
you.
that's it. No, 4
That's
it was.
great,
Yeah.
4. So, I said, okay. And he knew exactly what to do. There was his feeling, his prickly, red, angry feeling in the shape of the labyrinth. So I said to him, okay, then, you know what I like doing? He said, yes, yes, yes. We're going to do 3 deep belly breaths. And I particularly love the breath work by Andrew Huberman, who's an American neuroscientist. Really worth chasing up if you haven't. So that process, simply breathing in through your nose, and he breathed in. I say, now a top up, and you take an extra bit of breath, and then it's a long, slow, slow, slow exhale. So he repeated that 3 times, and then he was ready to walk the labyrinth, finger at the entrance. And I just said to him, as you walk the labyrinth, these are the things that I'd like you to wonder about. what happened, why, and what could have prevented it. So he continued his walk along the paths until he got to the centre. At the centre, I'll let you follow the path. Thank you, Louise.
Sorry, I was a bit slow.
You're taking it at a lovely, calm pace. That's great. Now, when he got to the centre, I just said, Xavier, let's just stop for a moment. This is our space. This is our heart space. And I just simply said, we can't change what happened here in the centre, in your heart space, but we can think about what we could do to make it better and more peaceful for you and for your friend. You know, this conflict that he had was about a relationship. So we had to consider both. I just simply asked him to pause there as long as he needed. And then when he was ready, I said to him, let's leave the centre and keep that answer that you received in your heart space until we got to the end. So he just quietly followed his path all the way through to the end. Once he got back to the entrance, I said to him, I'm going to ask you another 2 questions. What colour would you give it now? And he obviously said blue. And what shape would it be like? Oh, it's a bit softer and a bit like a cloud. So I got him to draw that shape, and he, on his own, repeated the same process that he'd learnt about drawing the lollipop pattern. So just go right down to the next one, please, Louise. Thank you. So once he had drawn it, I just said, we're going to have just a quick walk this time. And I want you to walk the labyrinth to the centre and then back, just with the new feeling you have, the new situation that you've imagined. So we just very quiet, and he did it quite quickly, quite a quick meander through the new paths to the centre and back. And then let Louise get back. Here we go. When he got to the exit point, I just said, Save, let's take one deep breath. And as he took his deep breath in, I simply said, let's reset our day. And just the beam, the smile on this little kid's face, and off he went. Now, that teaching session, this took the 5 minutes of reset, but that other 90 minutes of teaching session, you would not have known that he had a problem or entered the room. It just completely reset that sense of peace within him. It's a very simple activity, but again, I think it's important to know that they did have that prior knowledge of what a lollipop labyrinth was. Now, we've tried this with adults hysterical. If you get a bit angry and you're upset about something, to try the lollipop one. Draw your angry shape. You know, it's a great activity. The second example is what I've called the imaginary labyrinth. And to me, the concept came from the fact that ideally labyrinths are always with us, even in our heart, I think. So I was always been really moved by the designs by Maya Scott. Really loved just the whole concept of seeing it on a hand. So, and, you know, kids have loved drawing their hand and drawing their own labyrinth inside. But I decided to try asking children to actually draw the trace the labyrinth on their hand. No drawing. So if we can just go to the next slide, please. So that gives you an indication of the path. So, and all it is, in fact, I think I'm looking at the time. Can we all do it together? If you could just hold your hand, you don't need to hold it up, but if you just look at your own hand and start with your finger on the wrist and just take a lovely deep breath and then release it. So all I've asked the children to do is take deep breaths, tracing, as you can see from the image, to the top of the finger, and then following the exhale all the way down. And they're long breaths, short breaths. It's not in relationship to the size of your finger, but it just gives you that sense of motion, breathing in and then breathing out. And they can sit at that bottom base until they've breathed out totally. The long breath exhale is really important. So breathing in, breathing out. In fact, if I go this one, it'll be easier for you to see. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And when we get back to our wrist, I invite them to take 3 breaths in the spiral. 1, 2,
Oh,
3. And with a finger in the center, I ask them to close their hand and place their clenched fist and labyrinth that they've drawn on their heart. I ask them to then close their eyes and breathe their intention. Breathe into their own heart space what they need for that time and moment. And they sit there until they're ready. When ready, I ask them simply to open up their heart space again. And we simply repeat the process. Those 3 breaths. Now, I'm mindful that I am going a lot faster than the kids would normally do. And then taking those lovely breaths, breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And that process continues until you come back to your wrist. And again, that final deep breath in and out. Really quick moment. Now I need to tell you the story of the context, that how it was used. I was out on the schoolyard and the student came running up to find me. And she came up and all she said was, at the school that I was at, they call you by your first name. So it was, "Oh, Mr. Ange, I've just couldn't wait to see you today." And I said, "Oh, Marcel, tell me why. And she said, the imaginary labyrinth was so good. And I said, "So good? Tell me about it." And then she told me that her mum was in hospital and was very ill with a heart condition. She explained to me that that night, that there was the first night that mum was in hospital, and she said, "Oh, I really couldn't get to sleep. I just wanted to pray for mummy." And she said, "So I got my imaginary labyrinth out while I was in bed, and I breathed and I prayed for mum all the way to the center, and I held her in my heart, and I came out again." So she knew the whole process. And I said, and it just calmed me down and I could go to sleep. And I very quickly said, "Well, did it work?" And she goes, "Oh, yes, Mr. Ange, I had the best night's sleep." It was just a gorgeous story, but I just know for myself, having that breath work and imagining, I mean, I've had to use it quite recently in a whole lot of medical hospital situations, but it's just an extra application. And for me, I've often said it's lovely to take the labyrinth, off the earth, off a mat, off paper, and actually place it into your being, into your heart space using your hand. But just some very simple, practical ideas. Thanks, Louise.
really highlights the tactile nature as well, because, you know, people respond and learn in different ways, and through tactile experience is one. So
Sorry, Louise, if I could just add, it's a bit like often people have said to me that they love walking the labyrinth barefoot. It's that extra touch between the labyrinth, and we're really duplicating that in a hand and portable anywhere. Thank you. Sorry, Louise.
No, all good, all good. I'm just going to, so I'm going to work through with you another imaginary hand labyrinth. It's it's stolen from Tony Christie. I did a course with him last year, and I just fell in love with this technique because, again, the labyrinth, if your hands are at the ends of your arms and they're next to your body, you've always got a labyrinth at your beck and call. So this one involves tracing a 3-circuit labyrinth in the palm of your hand. You've got your 3-circuit that you've used already in this session, so you can refer to that if you need to. So it basically involves drawing the cross in the center of your palm, placing the 4 dots in the cross, and then completing the lines to make the 3 circuits. You'll be able to make 3-circuit labyrinths with your eyes closed after this workshop. So when you've completed the labyrinth, take your walk on the path. And hold it. Other hand, repeat the process. Vertical line, horizontal line, making the cross, 3 dots in the quadrants. Join the dots to make your 3-circuit labyrinth. Walk the labyrinth. Now, bring the 2 labyrinths together into 3 dimensions. So you have two-dimensional labyrinths which have come together into a 3-dimensional labyrinth. Now you're in a position to scatter them out into the world and send peace to everybody around you. I did this in a waiting room the other day, and I had everybody's attention. And so I just left them with it. I think that's beautiful. You could be out on a picnic, you can be a barbecue, you can be sitting quietly on the beach, and you can just take the labyrinths, bring them together and scatter them all across the local environment, the global environment. We did that last year on World Labyrinth Day too. Sent you all labyrinths last year. So 2 imaginary labyrinths that are always with you. I think just teach those to everybody you know. Now, Therese, we're coming back to you.
Great. Wow, what a beautiful experience. And we've all engaged and observed and felt the power of the labyrinth through this workshop. So looking back at Louise and Angie's presentation of creating peaceful paths, it was very much about the tactile experience. And I love how you reflected on the barefoot on Mother Earth, how powerful that is for some people. So focusing down then on all the different possibilities that we've offered you and that are presented in the teacher's guide. And don't forget to look into the previous year's guides as well. We've offered so many possibilities for centering. Let's look at the emotional aspect of the labyrinth, the sensations, the awarenesses while working with the labyrinth, the movement, the memories that arise, the lollipop labyrinth that presents an opportunity for showing emotion through colour and shape. Using the labyrinth for calming the nervous system, bringing one back into the window of tolerance through this tool and re-engaging the prefrontal cortex. Learning through movement, these centering activities, engaging the vestibular system, engaging both sides of the brain, whilst allowing the mind to calm, the body to relax, and to create the mind-body-spirit connection. Thank you, Ange and Louise, for sharing these great resources with us, focusing on making the peaceful paths, whether they're on paper, as a craft activity, on the hand, on earth, or in thin air. Remember, everyone, to go into those cumulative free resources. The opportunities are endless. And I focus back again to what Louise said. Start with a group walk. Bring your group together, whatever it might be. And you saw how powerful it was to watch me trace the labyrinth. And you can do that for anyone. So I'm going to take this moment now to invite you to bring your labyrinths back onto your table in front of you, wherever you are, and revisit that drawing, because it's time now to reevaluate. And because we have a brief extra minute here, I'm going to invite you now to use your non-dominant hand and trace your own labyrinth. Take yourself a lovely, deep, cleansing breath at the start, at the opening. And I want you to ponder as you walk, where are you now? How do you feel about your knowledge, your confidence, and your awareness? Take a moment to walk slowly. So use your symbol again, or choose a different symbol, and draw where you are now. Are you still at the entrance as a nervous newbie? Are you ready to research, or are you ready to roll? Please mark where you are. And thank you all for your wonderful energy, attention, and your encouraging eyes and smiles. It's just been wonderful. And I'm going to hand you back now to our lovely Ellen. And please let others know, if you can, we have another session in 12 hours' time.
11.
Can't tell you how much I love that. Your stories, and I've got my lollipop labyrinth here. I've got some other things written down. That was just wonderful. I'm so happy to have my hand labyrinth with me. And I actually marked my spot further back than where I was at the beginning, because I'm realizing how much there is to know. And as we share our ideas like this, it's just fantastic. So deep, 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 deep gratitude for the three of you for a wonderful, heartfelt experience. Not just a presentation, it was a wonderful experience. Thank you again. We have just a few minutes. Maybe we can see if anyone has any questions. Is that okay with you guys?
Yes, please.
Or thoughts about your experience today?
Well, I do have a question as an energy worker looking at this. When you say using the non-dominant hand, most people are right-handed. I'm left-handed. But in energy work, in the left you receive and the right you give. So are you having people then not use the left hand because they're receiving as they go around? Is that actually what's occurring? And because I was pondering which way, if I'm using right, that's usually the hand you give out with, and you want to be in.
That's interesting, Atala. Thank you for asking. For me, as an educator, I see it as the non-dominant hand is purely making the brain work a little bit harder, allowing that monkey mind to slow down more. Engaging the non-dominant hand will make that happen. So it's purely from that perspective that I personally use that approach. And that will drop people often into their imagination and their intuition quicker. So, but that's personal preference. We offer it as an idea. Not everybody opts for the idea. But I hadn't heard your perspective because not being an energy worker like that, I have never heard of that. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, good question.
I also am left-handed, but for me, using my other hand gives me that sense of balance. So to me, I don't even think about being left or right. It's just that balance. I begin with the left, I go over to the right, I go with the right or over to the left. So I think it's that balance that I feel. But you've got me thinking about, I think I hand out things on my left hand and receive them on my right. So yeah, I'm not sure, but it's that balance I think is the important part.
Thank you.
Ellen, I thought I would like, while we're still recording, to just acknowledge the where in the world everybody who registered for this workshop is situated. I think it's really nice for us all to know that. We had registrations from Spain, Latvia, New Zealand, Honduras, the United Kingdom, Netherlands, the US and Australia. So that's a really nice wide coming together of people in countries around the world.
We, as a World Labyrinth Day steering committee, have worked really hard in the last couple of years to make our offerings global. And so maybe that's proof that what we're doing is helping, right, Louise? So
Yep.
thank you
so.
to my steering committee, Louise being one of them, who have worked hard to do that. And thank you for your attendance today. As I usually like to say in a group, please take a moment to look around and look in the eyes of the people on the screen in the circle that we created today. And with our experiences, we really have come together and shared with each other what not just listening, but also feeling with our hearts and our hands. So remember, you can take this circle with you during the day and remember it. I will take my hand labyrinth with me wherever I go now. That's so wonderful. And remember you all as I do that. And again, we have another offering at 6. If you know anybody who you think might enjoy attending later today or tomorrow, depending on where you are, please let them know about that. So thank you for being here. Is there anything else that